And we are live.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Comedy Cellar Nightly. We're here with Ryan Reese.
Hey, nice to be back.
Jim David.
Hi, guys.
Daniel Nadimer. Look at that. You've been practicing your graphic arts there, Dan. You did that on Photoshop yourself?
No, I forgot how I got this.
I mean, okay, Estee Dworman.
Hello.
And Mark Cohen. How you doing?
Hey, how
You
you
know
guys
what
doing?
You know what it was, Noam? I did a show for a synagogue on Long Island, and they just lifted your logo and named the evening Quarantine Cellar.
Those bastards. Is that legal?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you're gonna fight about
What are you
it.
gonna do?
Use the numbers.
So what's going on here tonight, everybody? Mark is our resident guy in Vegas.
For lack of a better term.
I'm having a little technical problem here. So there we go. So Mark, what's it like in Vegas? Is Vegas ever going to open up again?
It seems like it's opening up pretty quickly as far as I can see. People are out everywhere. I hear the casinos are opening up in a week or two, or at least some of them.
What does that mean?
Well, actually, I heard that they're opening up the restaurants in the casinos, but only if they have a door to the outside. You know what I mean? It's kind of, they make it hard, so I don't know what's going to happen. Have you heard anything?
No, but Mark, I'm pessimistic about everything in life right now. But what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's like because of this, you mean because of the sale of the Rio and stuff like that?
No, just like, who's gonna come back to Vegas if you have to have 6 foot distancing and plastic shields and you can't sit with, you can't make friends at the table, you can't get a hooker. Like what are we going to Vegas for?
Me, I'm available, Estee. If the club opens, just book me there.
Is that really true? You guys are not scared?
No, I'll go.
I'm leery of it a little bit. I mean, the front row at the Cellar in Vegas, I mean, in all your clubs are 2 feet away, you know?
Yeah, and I know. I mean, I'm very pessimistic. I'm very pessimistic.
People spit on me a lot.
They do.
You know what? Hey, no, you know what, Noam? I think it's gradually just going to happen anyway, because people cannot just stay at home all the time. They can't. They're going to start to go out. They're going to start to figure this out. They're going to, like when I passed by the Cellar, did you see the picture I posted on Instagram of the Cellar when I passed by yesterday?
No.
Okay, well, I did. And it's like, it looks like an old Western bar that's got tumbleweeds in front of it. You know what I mean? It's closed down forever. But I just said, this is going to open up, and it's going to be, at first it'll be at half capacity, but then it'll be the same. I just think this is going to take time, but I think life is going to return to normal because it has to.
No, and why don't you Elon Musk it?
I don't have his money.
But did I read that Georgia opened up and that their cases are stable, or did I?
Yeah, no, they're going up. The cases are going up.
When is that news from? Because as of yesterday, they were still declining. They've been open for 3 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm confusing it. You know what? Maybe I'm confusing it with another state because
You're thinking of Soviet Georgia.
Guys, didn't you just say that there's like 4 or 5 different states that are opening the comedy clubs?
I think Ryan said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I checked too. It's a fact. Texas, Delaware, Florida, and Tennessee
are opening.
Everybody's got to understand. We live in New York. We live in one of the top 3 hot spots in the world or something. Maybe we're the hottest.
Vegas is really fairly low as far as that stuff is concerned too, which I don't know if that helps the situation or hurts it.
Well, I was talking to a friend today in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and he says that down there you would never know that anything ever happened because everything is totally open.
Yeah, but it's 1947 in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
They got other problems. Yeah.
All those people that demonstrating and the beauty parlors and barber shops opening up, turns out that one of the barbers that opened up had corona.
And he got it, and he gave it to like 15 people or something?
Like 100 people.
Yeah.
That's what they said in the news.
You can't fuck with this. This is a fucking virus. This is invisible. You can't, you know what I mean? It's like, I've missed everybody. It's great to see y'all. It really is. and it's wonderful to see you actually.
See,
because I missed everybody,
the problem is it only takes one guy with the virus in your club to mess it up.
That's the thing. It's like, you know, I have not really been happy to not work for 2 months, and my days vacillate between, you know, paralyzing fear and murderous rage.
That sounds like your normal.
You usually do it the other way around.
It's my normal. That's my default.
Tim, you're somebody that does a lot of work on cruises. Do you have any notion as to when that's going to start again?
Oh, listen, I got a thing today that said they're going to start up again June 15th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that too.
And I have a gig I've got the Oasis of the Seas June 15th, and then a week later I've got another gig. And I am probably not going to do them because I don't feel like traveling just yet. Getting on a plane. You know what I mean?
You don't want to get stuck on a ship either, you know?
Well, the ships are the least problem because see the ships are always they wipe down every fucking banister, you know what I mean, and railing every hour, and they have Purell stations at the entrance to every venue. So the ship is actually a pretty safe place to be. It's just the plane and the whole, I'm not ready to go yet, I don't think. And also I'm going to the beach and I want to sit on my ass there for a month. It's like now that I've been off for 2 months, I'm getting used to it.
I wouldn't do it, Jim, but can you do me a favor? Who books that?
We're not getting this from Purell and stuff. This is from breathing next to people.
Well, that's the thing. Even if you're on a ship and somebody sneezes on you, the Purell or whatever is not going to help, you know.
But the ship, they're very on top of things. I mean, you know, they'll quarantine you. The ship, they're used to dealing with outbreaks. They deal with like gastro outbreaks
and norovirus, and yeah.
The safest place is supposed to be is it the cellar, a bathroom.
The virus can live there.
Estee, I watched a movie with Sophia Loren and Marcello Mastroianni called A Special Day, and you look like Sophia Loren.
Once upon a time.
Or Sophia Loren looks like you. No, now.
Once upon a time.
No. You're beautiful. Because I'm sitting there the whole time watching this movie, and I'm going, that looks like Estee. And it's Sophia Loren and Marcello Mastroianni, who plays a gay man living in the building that Sophia Loren is, and they develop a friendship on the day that.
They made many movies together.
Oh yeah, but this is a movie about how they become friends on the day that Hitler visited Mussolini.
Fake news.
It's fascinating.
Ryan, you're like a generally conservative guy. Does that translate into your attitudes on Corona? There seems to be a link between people that want to open up and conservatism.
No, I'm a libertarian, man. I think you should do what's best for you. I don't want to tell you how to live. So
that's tough in this
Presbyterian.
You have to, because some morons don't take the responsibility and affect others. So the government does have to put some rules into effect. Otherwise, it's going to be chaos.
Yeah, you know, because this guy, I saw this woman on TV, and she was doing one of the protests at one of the Capitol buildings, you know, in Michigan or somewhere. And she said, this is infringing on my personal liberty. And I'm like, if you go on an airplane and you can't open the door mid-flight, is that interfering on your personal liberty?
I mean, a lot of these people don't have money. Like, unemployment's a myth. They have to work. Like, no one would assume it's a joke. And you're telling
that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. However, when the Jewish people were leaving Egypt, the rabbis in the church had to put rules because there was a chaos. Not everybody is very bright. Not everybody is intelligent or thinks things through. But therefore you do have to have some rules. Now the question:
What were the rules? What were the rules when they were leaving Egypt, Estee?
I don't know.
Masks? Masks?
Yeah.
No onanism. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mark.
Listen, if for law and order, and for some people, it's a must.
You know, you can see.
Have to tell them how to behave.
You can see who complains or who doesn't want to follow, you know, the guidelines of people with less money, obviously, and you can even see it in the comedy world. If you look online, it's the people that are really complaining are the people that don't even seem to work as much. You know?
Yeah. Those clubs that open in Texas.
I'm not saying that it's not valid, and I'm not saying, but you cannot have chaos. You have to some kind of
if the governor of the state says to me, you need to wear a mask when you're in a crowded place, I'll do it. You know what I mean? It's not infringing on my rights.
It makes sense. But for some people, they showed people today already on the beach and the boardwalk, and more than half of them did not have any masks.
But also, some people don't have them or can't get them.
They can get them.
That's not true. I mean,
at this point, they can get them.
But I mean,
my sister made 150 of them to give to the hospital where my niece works as an ER.
No, but you go to any bodega or CVS or supermarket and they sell.
Oh, really? I never looked for them.
Estee, have you seen the guys on the street? They're selling masks and hand sanitizers and plastic gloves.
Very reasonable prices.
I have
Very
not
reasonable.
out on the streets. I'm sending my son. He does all the shopping and the.
No, but they're selling. They've got guys that are selling. That used to sell DVDs. Now they're
right.
Those masks with the circle that filtered supposedly.
Oh, you mean the N95?
Those are no good. They protect you. They don't protect others. And the idea of the mask is so you don't spit at others and make them sick.
Hey,
so you have all kinds of variation. However, there's got to be some kind of guidance.
Well, they didn't make it a law.
I agree with you.
I have a question. Are you guys writing Corona material to be done at a later date?
Jim, it writes itself.
I have not been writing much in the way of jokes at all.
I've been writing lots of jokes. I've been writing lots of jokes, but the problem is that they have a shelf life of one day.
Well,
if you're doing like
very specific
appearances or shows now, you use them.
Yeah, I think this is going to be around for longer than a day.
Yeah, but I mean, they're based on current events. That you know what I mean?
I'm still doing a We Are the World parody, though.
The Corona thing is getting tiresome. The jokes. Number one, number two. You know what really is getting to me?
What?
All those benefits that they televise. There must be like 150 a day.
Yeah, exactly. I was on one of them. I was on one of them.
Listen, a lot of them are very valid and good for whoever organizes it, but it is so much.
Yeah. Well,
so much now.
Well, there was this one they recently did for the Actors Fund, which helps actors, that don't have any money, and it helps actors who are in nursing homes or in assisted living.
I booked it, David.
Huh?
I booked it.
You booked it?
What's that?
I booked it.
I think we all just got insulted.
It raised like $120 million or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah,
I don't know how much they raised yet. I am in contact with him. It's the NewYorkLaughs.org in partnership with the Actors Fund. And
okay. Well, I'm talking about a different one.
Back of the industry. In other words, club owners can apply for it.
Right.
Hello.
Yeah,
Noam, did you apply for a small business loan?
Yes, I did, but we can't really use it. That's the problem because they have to be. You have to use it by June 30th to be forgivable, and otherwise I'm just going to go further into debt. So it's not really.
Jim, do you want to when this is over? One thing you were asking about Corona jokes is when this is over. If every comic's going to be doing jokes about quarantine, I just as soon not do it.
I'm probably not going to do many, and that's one of the reasons why I don't write that much topical material, because all of the late night comedians are going to get to that subject first, and they all have 12 writers who are going to do a better job at it than me. And so why would I want to write
it? David.
What?
That's not true.
Well, but you have the advantage of being able to do it from your point of view.
And it's also live in a club.
None of the.
I don't know. If I come up with something that is a point of view that only I can make it like that, then I'll do it.
Right.
But I'm not going to go out of my way to write.
Excuse me, guys. Noam, did you hear today about Biden's speech?
What about Biden's speech?
He plagiarized it from Melania.
Mark is so funny.
He was talking of how many people were affected by corona and how many people died, but he made a mistake and switched the numbers.
No, I didn't think. I thought that he said millions and millions, but I just thought he meant like millions and millions of people affected.
No, he switched the numbers. They had it on the news. They said it, that he switched the numbers.
No, I don't think he did. I think they're being unfair to him. I think he just spoke.
I just thought it was the funniest thing.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what it is. He said, what did you see? What new? Did you see it on Fox News, Estee?
You know what? I can't tell you, but it was on the news. On the news. Well, I don't think it was Fox News, though. No.
This is a very. This group is a very sedate group compared to the last Comedy Cellar nightly show I did, where everybody was kind of getting in there with their one-liners. Not that this is worse or better, but just the contrast is striking.
We're more civilized this time.
Well, here's what I saw on TV tonight.
Some people might enjoy the other.
No, here's what I saw on TV tonight. The answer on Wheel of Fortune was bridal and cold shower, but instead the woman said bridal and golden shower.
Oh.
Okay, it says bumbling Joe Biden gaps his way through COVID as he claims 85,000 jobs have been lost. He didn't say that. I can't believe I'm defending this dude, but he didn't say millions of people he died. He just said millions of people, 36 million people have lost their jobs. 85. He just was. He was just reading numbers. He was obviously reading it anyway. I mean.
Yeah, he was reading it, but he confused the numbers, and they were making.
I thought
they were snooty about it.
I
thought it was funny. I wasn't surprised.
These guys are older guys. It is kind of crazy, all of them.
Listen, not all the people are.
No. Well, no, of course not.
Mark, know your audience.
And according to Cuomo, older starts with 51. So
I don't see them as that much older than me, to be honest. Not
what?
Well,
they're 30 years older.
Time goes so fast. To me, anybody that's alive is about my age. That's all
You identify with everybody then.
Because it goes so fast anyway. What's the difference between 50 and 80?
Yeah, but Dan, you
30
look
years
15 and act 70.
50, you still have your vigor, and 80, you are just looking in the rear.
I know it's going to be it's going to go like that. So I just kind of.
Yeah. So.
It goes like that. For sure.
It's going to come anyway. Don't anticipate it. Enjoy the
My father called me this week and he said, "How you doing?" And I said, "Well, what did you do today?" He's 92. And I said, "How you doing?" And he said, "Well, I read the AARP magazine this afternoon, and that was my accomplishment." It's so great because my parents are old and they have old people problems, but they still have 100% of their marbles.
That's the blessing, because everybody wants to have a long life, but the quality of life counts. If you have your mind.
Yeah.
Did you get that DNA?
Hey, Estee, how old is Tony?
Who?
How old is Tony?
Tony is 5 months, 6 months.
Is that dog a fake background, or is that a real dog?
Yeah.
He's a baby. He's a baby. He's
it's an animation.
Oh my God. Hey, Ryan, do you live in a comedy club?
Pretty much. I designed my apartment to look like a comedy club. Pretty much.
Listen, I want to tell you guys about my background. You see this thing, this thing on the wall right here? This is a needlepoint of geese flying out of the lake that my mother made. She was pregnant with me.
Wow.
Right? And in the movie The Help, this very same needlepoint is on the wall of the racist's home. The number one racist in the movie, her home has this fucking needlepoint.
Well, I'm glad you left it up on your wall.
Yeah, and another fucking hilarious comparison is, did any of you see the Amazon show The Man in the High Castle?
Yeah, I saw that.
It's about if Hitler and Japan won the Second World War. It's fabulous. And it's like, like the eastern half of America is the greater Nazi Reich, and the western half of America is the Japanese Pacific states. And there's the main Nazi, there's a lot of scenes in the main Nazi's home in New York, and the China pattern that they have on that show is the same China pattern that I inherited from my grandmother.
What the hell's going on?
I come from a long line of white supremacists and Nazis.
Dan, are you doing any shows?
Huh?
Dan Natterman, you doing any shows?
I just did a show last night with Aruba Ray, a country club show.
Where?
Well, I was from my apartment, but there was a country club in Sands Point, Long Island, and they had all their members go on Zoom, and we did it. I've done a few Zoom shows. It's a little weird.
You meant live, Ryan, right?
No, I meant the Zoom stuff. That's what comedy is now.
What you got to do is, I was talking about this with Noam the other night. You got to let a few people. You can't leave everybody. You got to mute everybody, because people have kids or they have dogs. There'll be too much noise if you don't mute everybody. But you got to leave a few people unmuted so you have laughter. So you got to choose a few people that have absolutely no dogs or kids that are aware that they need to be quiet, and just to get the laughs going. But that's sort of the formula. But if you do that, it works reasonably well.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, but it's better than nothing at all.
You don't sound too sure of that.
Well, look, it's a show in front of my computer. It's not going to be the greatest show in the world, but in lieu of doing absolutely nothing, it's something.
Yeah.
Where did Noam go? Did Noam disappear?
Oh yeah.
He probably did not like your comment about the dogs and kids.
Noam is gone for some reason, but
how old are Noam's children? How old are they?
Like 3, 6, and 3, 5, and 7, 3, 6, and 9, something.
Oh,
like
they're that young.
They're little. He was late in life kids, yeah. Last minute. It was like got it in under the wire.
Oh my God.
I feel bad for the kids who aren't like getting graduations and all that stuff.
Hey, Mark, did you move to Vegas?
Yeah, I live in Vegas now.
Been there for 2 years.
That's what I thought. So you moved there for the Rio. I still want to go out there. Estee's given me dates and I haven't been available, and then I've given her dates and they weren't available. I'll get out there.
What the hell's wrong?
Right, Estee? I'll get out there someday.
Well,
yeah, it's a good club.
Whenever he asks for a date and I give it to him, he ends up canceling.
No, me?
Let's say that.
No, I didn't take it. I didn't cancel it. I was not available.
No,
for it.
No,
about that. I fell asleep.
Yeah.
What's that?
I fell asleep.
You fell asleep, or you put the kid to sleep? You put the kids to sleep.
He's in color now.
He's missing part of his head.
I was trying to do. I'm rendering a podcast from last night and video, and it crashed the computer. I guess I'll do it later.
We would never do that to your computer.
You guys, did you hear? I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead. What are you guys talking about?
Well, we were talking about, Jim was talking about wanting to get on in Rio when it opens, obviously, and he hasn't been there yet because he's never available when Estee gives the date.
And he's also a Nazi and a
white supremacist.
He has
my grandfather was.
But he has similar taste in needlepoint.
Nice way to avoid the elephant in the room.
Anyway, my grandfather was in Klan.
Well, in those days, everybody was in the Klan.
Well, it was more for the social networking, I think.
Yeah,
it was just like the Kiwanis Club or something. It was in Alabama in the early 20s, and that's what guys did. I don't think he actually lynched anybody because he was too drunk.
Okay, can I share with you guys the latest outrage that the liberal media is not going to cover?
Here we go.
Yeah, well, this one I think might even bother you, Jim David.
I doubt it.
Although this is the New York Times, which is, God bless the New York Times, as much as they are sometimes disturbing, they are also very often the essential newspaper. So latest from the de Blasio administration was an email has turned up that Dr. Mitchell Katz, who was in charge of the main advisor, I think, of the city's response, sent de Blasio an email saying, this is, I think, March 7th, although that's from memory. I don't see it in the story here. There is no proof that closures will help stop the spread, Dr. Katz wrote in an email to the mayor's closest aides. He believed that banning large events would hurt the economy and sow fear. If it is not safe to go to a conference, why is it safe to go to the hospital or ride the subway, he wrote. And he said, many New Yorkers are going to get infected anyway. We have to accept that unless a vaccine is rapidly developed, large numbers of people will get infected, he wrote. The good thing is greater than 99% will recover without harm. Once people recover, they will have immunity. The immunity will protect the herd. So what essentially they're saying is like, look, we're going to tell the people in New York to go out and tell them they're fine, go out and have a good time. But privately, we know that 99% of them are going to get it. So, you know, maybe thousands will die, but we're not going to tell the high-risk people that they're at risk or anything like that. But here's the kicker later on in the story. He says, even if a few people with serious mental illness become more isolated or fearful due to messaging, we could have more permanent harm than we currently have with COVID-19. So they essentially just kept the city open, told us everything would be okay. Privately, they knew, 99% of the people were going to get it. And thousands of people died. Thousands of people died. And at the same time, the governor had a rule that a nursing home couldn't turn away people who had tested positive with COVID-19. And thousands of people died in the nursing homes. What the fuck is...
Well, if that was the policy, why did the policy suddenly change to...
Because all the people were dying. Because there was so much outrage about it. But the thing is...
But isn't that what our federal government did too?
What's that?
Isn't that what our government did too?
What do you mean our government?
I mean, the federal government, that wasn't just New York doing that.
Yeah, well, no, it was basically New York. I mean, unfortunately, that our federal government fucked up the ventilators and the masks.
But they were telling people it was going to be good and go out and blah,
well,
blah,
Fauci was all of them. Yeah,
all of them.
At one point, everybody was telling people it was good and go out. But then by March, that wasn't the case anymore.
Oh, I
think that, you know what?
Hold on. By March, Ohio had shut down. The left-wing mayor of San Francisco was warning everybody to stay home. It's not a right-left thing. This is not conservative, liberal, Republican, Democrat. There were plenty of smart Democrats who were handling this well. But the leadership of New York State, I mean, you look at that email, that is bone-chilling to me. That is like saying, like, they are, I mean, he should resign after that email. They are saying privately, do you recall them telling us that 99% of us are going to be get it and it's good for the herd if we get immunity? I don't recall the mayor telling me that. I don't fucking recall my mayor telling me that.
Calm down.
But it's not, you know what? It's something people really should be angry about. Thousands of people died.
Yeah, I think that, you know what?
Don't make an excuse because you're making excuses because you're trying to be partisan because it's a liberal mayor Democrat. There is no excuse.
You know what I have to say? Yeah, I haven't said anything.
Excuse for that. Go ahead, Jim.
I haven't said anything.
Go ahead, but I know you. Go ahead.
He's not going to give you the gig in Vegas.
Yeah, I will. Go ahead. Go to Vegas and get herd immunity for all of us. Go ahead, Jim.
No, what I was going to say is that I haven't read this particular article that you're talking about.
I just read it to you. Want me to read it again?
No, that's okay. And that's pretty outrageous. It sounds pretty outrageous to me. But also, I really believe, and I think this is true, nobody was prepared for this.
No, that's the excuse.
Yeah, Jim, but take it serious. They should have all taken it seriously.
This is deeper than that. They were already, this is not when they thought we had no risk. Like Fauci was saying, it's okay. That was then.
Right, this was after.
They're saying, yes, we're all going to get it. 99% of us are going to get it. By the way, 99% is incorrect because it's by 60% or 65%, that's usually the limit before
we said 99% will recover. The article did, that's what
maybe you're right. 97, it says we're all going to get it. 99% will recover. 1% are going to die. 1% are going to die. And you know what? We're not going to tell anybody. We're going to encourage them to keep going out. And it's unbelievable. I can't.
But how many lives are we saving in lockdown if we all have to go out eventually anyway?
We don't all have to go out anyway. The old people. First of all, there's a lot to this story. At that time,
that's what I'm trying to get into.
At that time,
I thought this was the Comedy Cellar.
At that time, you don't find this funny? At that time, there was hope that, and there still is hope, that these drugs are being tested, that therapies were being developed, and we were playing for time. So if we had waited 3 months in lockdown, and then one of these drugs, well, one of them has turned out, we don't know what degree it's effective, but remdesivir, and maybe hydrochloroquine, all the results are in, and there's another drug they're testing, which is like a MS drug or something. I don't know.
They have a 3 antibody cocktail now that they say that's the cure.
Okay, so whatever. So obviously, if one of these drugs comes to become effective, then we could have saved tens of thousands of lives by pausing for 3 months. But even on the assumption that none of the drugs were effective, the fact is that young people should probably go out, and they don't have much to worry about, and they can help with the herd immunity if there's no choice. But
see, I don't know.
Wait, I'm almost finished. But there's many people with high risk here. Old people with high blood pressure, people with diabetes, all these things. And these people needed to be told, stay home. Don't go out to party. Don't go to events. Don't go to Broadway. There is no excuse for finding.
If it was ignorance, it would have been okay. But you're saying
right.
It was done on purpose.
There is no excuse for finding out that what they're saying behind our backs,
correct,
with regard to our lives, is completely different from what they're telling us to our faces.
Right, but this is what Kat said. Is this what they acted on? Kat said
they didn't close the city for another, and this
based on Katz's email or based on other things.
This dovetails completely with the other New York Times article, which says that 50 to 80% of the lives could have been saved if they'd closed down a week or two earlier.
What was the date you closed the cellar?
It says here that people within the health department were talking about resigning in protest over this. There was such anger about it.
When did they close you, Noah?
Well, he closed the day before they closed them.
We closed a few days ago.
We have a handsome entry to our group.
Fuck.
The fabulous and the gorgeous and talented Pete.
Hey, it's so good to see all of you guys.
He has a haircut. How the hell did you get that haircut, you cocksucker?
Because I watched a YouTube tutorial and then I went on Amazon and bought clippers.
Nice.
I keep joking around that this is my most World War I haircut ever.
What clipper? Like, is there a special clippers that you can get to? Can you do it yourself or Jamie did it for you?
I did it myself. So we have those bathroom mirrors that open up, and then I just look at the reflection, and it's pretty rough back here. It looks really good here and here, but if you get behind me, it's not good. Jim, get back there.
Hold on a second, Pete. So,
I'm letting my hair grow. I'm just going to let it grow until it looks like a fucking.
If you guys need to talk about hair, I'm out of here. All right. Now hold on a second. I really don't need to take my time out here about hair. So listen, I'm going to read a little bit more from the article.
Well, the thing is, no, you have several other podcasts that you can discuss this on. This is the only one that's
You were the one who wanted to talk about it. City Hall wanted to see firm numbers. City Hall is a synecdoche for Mayor de Blasio. City Hall wanted to see firm positive results before ordering closures. Publicly, as well as in guidance to other agencies, as late as March 9th, the health department was not recommending closures of events like the city's marathon, according to emails shared with the Times. But inside the department, staff members were deeply concerned that their warnings were not getting through. Some were ready to walk out in protest. Others were threatening to quit.
So ultimately, what are we to do about this abomination of justice? What are we to do?
What can we do?
Vote him out.
What can we do?
We can know it.
But Noam,
resignation.
Noam, does this have anything to do? This is City Hall. Was Cuomo at all implicated in this? In what you're describing?
Cuomo is implicated in another article in the Times. But the thing is that, it's a total breakdown because Cuomo has all the authority. I believe Cuomo has the same authority that de Blasio has and some authority superior to de Blasio. And there was no rhyme or reason to keeping the city open. They were keeping the other states, as we said, Ohio with 15 cases had already shut down while New York was open for business. It is a Well, I mean, all I'm saying, Dan, is that tens of thousands of lives could have been saved. And it's not because nobody had an inkling about what was going on.
But do you think anybody here is like, well, that's okay? I mean, what? It's like everybody alive.
Jim David is. Yeah, I think Jim David is saying, yeah, that's okay.
Well, first of all, you're dropping a lot on us at once, and we haven't looked at it.
You don't know anything. What do you mean I'm okay with it? No, I'm not okay with it at all.
Jim, get him.
There's nothing I can do about it. The thing I've learned in this whole fucking lockdown is acceptance, because I have to accept the fact that there is absolutely nothing that I can do about any of this. You know what I mean? I can't control it. And so
here's my point. Here's my point. And this is the last thing. Then we can talk about your fucking haircuts. This is the thing.
I think you're doing well in quarantine.
This is the thing about the media, and this is not a defense of Trump, what I'm about to say, although someone will twist it to be. This is a huge, huge story, and I bet you it will not get 1,000th the coverage of some idiot who drank bleach because they heard Trump's dumb statement about, I wonder, could we use this in the lungs? This is what's wrong. Barely anybody will even know about this beyond the New York Times readers if they read it. Well, if Trump says the dumbest, like, I wonder if we can be open by Easter, that is plastered on billboards. Trump
but he's also
Easter.
the president of the United States.
But he's not the guy making decisions for New York.
Exactly, but that's why it's more newsworthy.
But New York has 1/3 of the deaths in the country.
Well, you know, the Pentagon proved the existence of UFOs a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, this is what I'm arguing. Let's talk about haircuts. Come on.
It barely got a peep. You know what I mean? Did anybody see that?
Yeah.
We talked about it.
You know what I'm talking about, Estee?
Right.
We talked about it because Sean
Donnelly, who is a UFO person on the show, talked about it. So that's been covered.
I heard that the aliens gave Pete Lee his haircut.
Yeah. They zoomed in and clipped. Normally you get a little anal probe, but I was like, nah, just a little off the top, a little off the sides.
It works, Pete. It's all right.
Now Mark is interested.
Yeah.
Does everybody, do you know a lot of people with COVID?
I know some, yeah.
I have 9 friends who have had COVID, and they have gone from very few symptoms to hospital. None of them passed away. One of them went on a ventilator. But you do not want to get this fucking virus. You know, you just don't want to get it. And because there is a chance that will be it.
Well, what's the scariest thing is once you do get it, you don't know where it's going to go. When you get the flu, you're like, okay, is it, you know, that's what it is, and it's not going to get any worse. With COVID, it starts off nice and easy, nice and slow, you know, touching, caressing, and then it gets rough.
I miss the touching and caressing.
And then it, you know, you just don't know how far it's going to go. So that's what's scary about it.
I miss being able to touch and caress each and every.
You live with your husband, Jim, don't you?
I do, but it's like fucking, getting a fucking Model T in North Dakota in January revved up to get him going.
Is that because of
you don't have to tell me.
Is that because he's an old Jew? Or you're tired of each other?
What?
Is that because he's an old Jew or because you're tired of each other?
Because he's married to Jim David.
Tired old Jew married to Jim David. And he is sick of the sight of my face.
Well, it's nice to know that marriages, whether they're gay or straight, suffer the same problems.
No, it's not a problem. I mean, the good news is that he and I get along very well in captivity. We're okay.
Well, we're all against gay marriage here, though, right?
That's fine. I'm against it, and I'm in one.
I love that your dick is like patio furniture. You're like, I love your partner's like, I love it. I just don't use it enough. That one would have been better if a file didn't pop up over this and I got distracted.
Well, the joke I use in my act is I say he puts a towel over the space heater to warm that up and puts the towel on the bed before he goes to bed. Then he puts a pillow on the space heater to warm that up, and he puts the pillow on the bed. And then he says to me, do you want to fool around? And I'm like, no, I am not standing over that fucking space heater.
Do married people fool around? Is that still?
Yeah, we do. We actually do. I've been 32 years. I've got time on all of you.
Do people make out after 30 years?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, just not with each other.
Yeah.
That's right. That's the thing that this is forced. This epidemic has forced me to have sex with my own husband. That's been the hardest part. That's been the hardest part.
Noam looks like he's researching something. My guess.
Noam is looking for the next New York Times bombshell to share with us.
I'm fucking furious.
Okay, well, fine.
What the truckers were supporting DiPiasso today.
Mark and I had a really good time at the Improv at Harrah's in Vegas together.
That's right.
And that was one of the last weeks that club had before they covered it. They closed it.
Don't tell Noam. I mean, that's nothing about me, though.
No, it was about Harrah's. Because they never, you know what I mean? Wasn't that right, Mark? Because they
gave up. They gave completely.
They
up.
never publicized the room. They never did anything. It only, they only had little pictures in the lobby, and that was it. Nobody ever came. In Vegas, you need to put stuff on the side of the buses and shit, right?
Yeah, they advertise everywhere. But Noam, do you think that if your club wasn't in a casino, would you have more? You would have more control over when it opened, obviously, too, right?
Yeah, listen, yes, but I mean, it's not about opening. It's about will anybody come? And I'm.
But I think Dan was right, or whoever said it. It's going to happen slow. But if you're not open, it's going to be.
I was talking about COVID happening slow.
The cruises are sold out. People will come. They're dumb. I mean, the cruises are floating
different than a small
and they're
club.
signing up.
So we're relying on people's stupidity. Is that what you're saying?
Damn right. God bless America. We're idiots. They'll come.
When crowds come back, are we going to want to perform for those people? It's just going to be.
Hey, Pete, those people are our audience, man. We can't pick our audience. That was one of the hardest lessons I learned in comedy, is that you cannot pick your audience. You have to perform for as many people as you can possibly perform for. And if you make it too political or too partisan or too aggravating or too angry, you're going to alienate half of your audience, and there's nothing you can do about it.
You're always going to.
Mark's like, now you tell me.
Yeah. No, the sooner that I accepted that, the better my performance got, I think.
Well, on the other hand, there are comics that just say what they're going to say and alienate who they're going to alienate. And if you get famous enough, then only those people that like you are going to come.
And that's what they want to do, these people. Too.
Hey, Jim, did you ever not disclose your husband on stage? Did you ever do it as just doing straight comedy without mentioning that you were gay?
For 14 years.
Wow.
I mean using his husband as a wife, you mean?
No, Ryan, I've been doing comedy since 1986, and I didn't come out on stage until 1998 at the Cellar. And it was like I decided to just do some jokes about my partner. And I thought that the sky was going to fall and that they were going to throw drinks at me. And they did not. They laughed. And so I said, okay, I'm out, I guess. And then when I did my Comedy Central special in 2000, I was the first openly gay man to have a special on Comedy Central.
Wow. I worked with you on a cruise ship, Jim. Huh? Jim, we worked together on a cruise ship. I forgot whether you came out on stage. For some reason, I forgot that. Do you on your cruise ships? Do you talk?
God, they hired me knowing what I do. Yes. They hired me in that capacity. Yeah.
You know what it is? Nobody cares anymore. They really don't care.
Nobody cares.
Those are different times, Jim. Nobody cares.
But they did back then.
Don't care.
When I first came out, they did, Estee. That was 20 years ago, and they cared.
Now people care about words.
Yeah. Now it's like
fucking crazy.
Because people are getting angry at what we do. I even have a routine about it, because it's like I used to get criticism from conservatives in the audience, and they would say that's immoral, that's vulgar, that's this. Now I get it from liberals, but now they're going, that's racist, that's sexist, that's trans.
Ryan.
Yeah, liberals are the new conservatives. I mean,
they're fashion.
I'm pretty politically liberal, but whenever I'm at a show in Brooklyn or just one of those kinds of shows, I'm like, anytime the crowd dresses like they read but that they don't, I'm like, oh, this crowd's gonna be the worst.
Right. Well, I've written a disclaimer at the beginning of my act about this whole very thing, so I sort of prepare the audience for what's to come in the next.
We have a disclaimer about all your acts now in the Comedy Cellar. It's crazy.
Yeah,
not mine.
I'm not kidding.
The infamous swim at your own risk policy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I mean, so many people are, especially at colleges and especially at, it's like, look, if you do a Chinese accent, you are speaking how the character speaks. You are not making fun of the entire Chinese race.
Yeah.
Do a Chinese accent for us. Come on.
Do it yourself.
Hey, let's do the whole rest of this podcast. Everybody do the Chinese accent.
Everybody do China accent.
Chinese accents are
It's gonna be good time.
I was kidding, Jim. I was kidding. What are you, nuts?
Everybody
Yeah,
gonna be
West China.
Chinese accents are
the way
hysterically
people
funny.
talk. It is you are to do a foreign accent speaking English. You are not disparaging an entire group of people.
Jim, to be serious, I don't want to get letters from Chinese people. Just to make it okay, can you do a black accent?
Oh, jeez.
No. Can you do a Jewish accent? Do a Jewish accent.
What? You want a Jewish accent?
No,
What
yeah,
do you
yeah,
want? What? No.
Do a gay Jewish one. Oh,
What do you want, Noam? What do you want? That would be Paul Lynn.
A Jamaican accent you can imitate. It's not considered politically incorrect.
That's true.
Maybe
It's
because
cool.
we so honor and respect the Jamaican accent.
We do not honor and respect the Jamaican
Of
accent.
course we do. It's
Yeah. It's cool. Everybody loves that
cool.
accent.
It's considered cool.
Although Jar Jar Binks, who had a slight reggae thing going to him, he got accused of being racist.
Which was ridiculous. We just watched before we saw The Rise of Skywalker, we sat through all 8 other Star Wars movies, including Rogue One. And Jar Jar Binks is not fucking racist. It's just an unfortunate caricature of whatever.
Of a black guy.
It would have been funnier to do a different voice.
What?
Can someone call Godfrey so we can have this conversation?
why Dan is here?
We need some diversity on this council here on what's racist and what isn't.
Mark is wearing a Jamaican-themed knitted cap. I assume you knitted it yourself because I know you're a
I
knit.
could-
Well,
gonna
Ryan,
be
that's an interesting point because what you just said is now we can talk about him. What you said is
I'm going to get a drink.
what you said is warrants a little zooming in on because
Really?
I'll tell you why. What you're saying is that we should have outside counsel into what is offensive to other people, and
Who
that's
said that?
right. So that's
I
true.
mean, I was going for a joke. He said it much better than me.
No, but so that's true that, there are certain things which you might say, which you don't realize offend other people. Like your grandparents might still say Oriental and they don't realize that Asians are offended by Oriental now, right? But that's different than saying you don't know what racist is. It's because racist, I believe, in the end, is only a defect of your heart. It's not about whether you use a word that you don't know you're supposed to use, or not about whether you imitate an accent but you don't realize that accent is okay or is not okay. It's about whether you have a hate or a dislike for other people based on something about them that they can't help. And that you don't need to be told whether you're racist or not. You can say, you can say whatever you want about me. You can tell me I shouldn't use those words. You can tell me this, but I know I'm not a racist. But now I know that offends you, and I won't do that anymore.
Other people that hear you don't know that you're not a racist.
That's right. But I'm saying it's a different. So it's a subtle difference, but I think it's quite important because in the end, you can use all the wrong words and you can appear like a racist and they can call you a racist, but that doesn't mean you're actually a racist. If you're totally naive or something like that, or if you come from another country, you use the wrong words or whatever it is, nobody can be sure what's in your heart. And your heart is what makes you a racist, in my opinion.
Well, I find that the Irish are racist.
Yeah, I'll state the Irish.
Estee, I love your dog. Oh, look at that dog.
He's Tony.
Well, no, but I've written I have like 3 or 4 routines that address this very thing, address racial stereotypes and address who's going to get offended. And I think it softens the blow because after I do those things, the audiences, I can feel they're more on my side. Because if I was just to come out at the beginning and do some of these jokes without the disclaimer, that's a beautiful dog, Estee.
Don't you think
So
people
cute.
get offended by everything anyway? No, I mean, you can't.
Yeah, and they shouldn't be in the fucking audience.
So
But
I
they
want
are.
to tell you. There's somebody that we all know, but I can't tell you who it is. When my father's alive, she was telling a story of my father and I was there. She goes, and then I went there, and then he wanted $100, but I jewed him down. And my father said, jewed him down. She's like, yeah, Manny, I jewed him down. And she had no idea.
Was that Juanita?
She just heard jewed him down her whole life. and she didn't even occur to her what she was saying.
I was watching.
That's my point. Like somebody could say, "You're an anti-Semite." No, she wasn't an anti-Semite.
Well,
She
like
just
people say the word gyp apparently comes from gypsy, or welshing on a bet comes from the Welsh.
gypped or Indian
didn't know
giver,
that.
or you know.
Yeah, Indian giver. You don't think about it, but that's.
I have to say, Noam, I really miss Manny.
Yeah, me too.
I really miss him. I mean, Manny was one of a kind, and we had hilarious screaming fights with each other.
Did he call you the F word?
Oh, absolutely.
The good news is Noam
He
is
did
in
not.
Yes, he
Noam is
did.
in so many ways just like Manny. So we have a reasonable facsimile.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but Noam is Manny without the humor.
Noam has good humor.
Oh, without the weed.
Noam's got the same laugh, the same humor, and the same capacity to flip out.
But one night, Manny said, "Hey, Jim, you're being a little faggoty tonight." He said that.
One night. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, one night, several
That was
nights.
to your face.
That was when Nick DiPaolo was there. Nick nearly made me want to fucking put a knife in my throat.
Well, it is interesting about my father, and I've said it before, but and I think you probably know this, but it's still interesting to me. My father brainwashed me from my earliest memory that discrimination against homosexuals was the only bigotry that was still somehow permitted in polite company. He was extremely offended by that. I'm talking about at the age of 5 years old. I remember him talking this way.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, this was.
I didn't even know anything existed at age 5. Are you kidding me?
Oh no. But this was something my father's whole life that he felt strongly about, and he never cared about me hanging out with. He never was worried about me becoming gay by hanging out with gay people, or that they should keep it a secret from me. He had a totally 21st century attitude. He always felt they were born that way, even when the Freudian party line was that this was somehow being over-attached to your mother and all this stuff. He always saw through that. Yet he would say, look, he would say, stop being a fag. And yeah, he would, like you say. And that just goes to show you that, I don't think my father was anti-gay at all. I know he was exactly the opposite. He was way less anti-gay than many of the people who pretend about policing their own language.
Well, the way I feel is that if he was truly anti-gay, he would not have given me work or given Rick work or.
Well, he also liked. Noam will gladly use people he doesn't personally like, and Manny was the same way. He cares about the quality of the show. Yeah. So theoretically, he would have been a homophobe and used you, but he wasn't.
No, but Manny and I really liked each other. Yeah, absolutely.
So, but nevertheless, even if it was for the quality of the show, my father, I know, would have never discouraged you from talking about being gay on stage. I'll tell you a story. When my father was doing the
He encouraged it.
What's that?
He encouraged me to do it.
When my father was doing the Fiend John, and we hired, which was an Israeli Jewish place, and we hired Rosalind. You guys remember Rosalind? The black girl was in my band, and she's still around.
Yeah.
And it was her turn to sing, and she wanted to sing a gospel song. One day at a time, sweet Jesus. It's all out of it. And
like one toke over the line.
And anyway, it's a nice song.
Over the line, sweet Jesus. One toke over the line.
So she sang it
at the railway station.
She sang it beautifully, and some customers in the audience got offended because she was singing about Jesus in a Jewish place. And my father said to the customers, "Go fuck yourself. What's the matter with you? It's music. I don't care," and encouraged her to keep on singing it. So he did have his limits. He concerned about business, but he was not going to sacrifice his self-respect in order to make a buck. So
I would have thought he was more towards the self-respect side of the business too.
What do you mean by that, Mark?
I meant that I think he would always care more about doing the right thing than the business.
Well, within reason. He doesn't want to be homeless, but
listen, everybody has their limits. Everybody will crack at some point. It's like I talked about with the Louis thing. I mean, if business had really shut down, I would have bent, and I would have thrown Louis out if I had to. But you try to stand up for what's right as much as you can. Some people crack really early, and other
Well,
people crack at the
At
last
what
minute.
point? At what point would you have done that? I mean, you didn't do it. So what? At what point would you have?
Well, I told this story at the time. My wife said to me, I turned to her and I said, what if this really affects our lifestyle? Because we have a nice lifestyle at this point in our lives. We have a house and cars, and the kids go to summer camp and all that stuff. And I said, what happens if this affects our lifestyle? And she said to me, without even dropping a beat, she said, I've had less before.
Yeah.
I've had less before. She was 100%.
So that's what I'm
behind me.
saying. I don't think there's a point that you would have done that.
Yeah, no, there is. If it meant having to pull my kids out of something important to them, or having to sell my house, or somebody say, listen, Louis, go perform at Stand Up New York. I can't do this, you know. And he would understand. He would have understood.
Yeah, but it never got anywhere near that, did it?
No, it didn't. But when the shit first hit the fan,
I think it was
looked like it
Steven that
might.
hit the fan.
It looked like it might. I mean, we were getting buried in emails and buried in threats. And anyway, we just got a Zoom group chat from the chat. Hey, Noam, what's even more outrageous about the de Blasio article is that most of the rest of the country was infected by New York. So that decision wrecked the country. Somebody wrote us that. Well, yeah.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true, but there were also international flights coming in and out for 2 months. So
I mean, that's what I was saying. It wasn't just New York.
Yeah, but the subways, New York was like a real incubator for this.
Yes.
I was in the steam room at the gym just a week before lockdown, and people told me I was crazy, but I thought the steam killed the germs.
No, it does not. Hey, Pete, do you see my Pete 2020 shirt?
yeah, I love that so much.
And I bought this the day after Pete Buttigieg dropped out of the race.
I liked Mayor Pete.
I thought that this would be a cool collector's item.
Now, were you planning on voting for Pete, Jim? Or
I'm sorry?
Were you planning on voting for him?
I totally would have voted for him.
Just because he's gay, or you actually thought?
No, I thought he was smart as hell. And he answered the questions in complete sentences and paragraphs.
Yeah, I liked him too. I donated $100 to his campaign.
No, I liked him a lot. I mean, the gay thing was a bonus, a personal bonus, but that if he'd been like the guy who is the now head of national intelligence, a gay man named Richard Grenell, I fucking hate him. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. You know, he's also the ambassador to Germany at the same time. So the fact that they're gay means nothing.
It's a
Jim,
nice thing on the cake,
go ahead, Dan.
if you will.
Yes, no.
I donated $100 to his campaign, but it was because I was feeling guilty because I made a joke at the time, and I really did feel guilty about the joke. Although the joke,
did you make a Pete butt plug joke or one of those?
No, I said I support Pete Buttigieg, top or the bottom of the ticket.
Oh, that's a great joke.
That's a solid
So what
joke.
was the joke?
That's a great joke.
And then I felt guilty about it.
I would make that joke on the stage. You shouldn't feel guilty about that.
Well, I felt guilty because in some way I said that to myself, that here's this guy breaking a barrier, and I felt that it would make him feel bad to see that he couldn't get past the gay jokes at this particular time.
I think that any of us know that is going to happen.
No, I wonder, did you feel guilty the first time you told, the second time, or the third?
No,
time?
So I figure if I gave him money, I could tell the joke. You know,
So
I
when
just want to say. So, but then I was encouraged that no, it's okay to make the joke. People like you. So I told the story a few times, and I think the joke is funny, but I never actually, I don't think, discussed it with someone who was gay.
I think it's very funny, and I would like to steal it. I think that is a perfectly legitimate joke.
Well, the problem is
I do a joke about gay cruises, and I say the difference between a gay cruise and a straight cruise is the gay cruise backs into port.
Hey, no. Were you doing the joke in an Asian accent at the time? That might have been the issue.
The gay cruise backs into port. Actually, Ryan, the first gay cruise I ever did was in like 1988, or 1998. I'm sorry, and there's like an underwear party in the disco, and there are like 600 gay guys in their underwear in the disco. And I looked at this little Filipino crew member. She's standing there with her tray, and I said, "You don't see this every week, do you?" And she goes, "The gay cruise is the best cruise. Last week, religious cruise." Nobody drink, nobody dance. They pray, pray, pray. Very bad. That's
All right.
totally true.
I think we're about done here. Look how Mark looks really good. Doesn't he look kind of robust and
It's so wonderful to see Mark. I'd hate Mark. You know,
Mark,
you're back in the Cellar family because of Vegas.
He never left the Cellar family, Dan.
That's right.
Never left.
In any case, he was
You
estranged.
don't leave. You just take a leave of absence. But you never leave.
What
We've
do you say?
I hope it opens
We've all
soon.
been infected by the Cellar virus for life, and there's no cure.
Hey, no. No, I got a question. So the clubs that are opening this weekend are opening at 25% capacity, and the article I read said they're all taking a loss if they do so. Now, if you're given the option to open the club at 25% capacity, I would assume you would take the same loss. Would you still do it?
I would try. I would want to. I mean,
we're
taking a huge loss by being closed. So I don't know. I don't know that we'd lose any more by being at 25% capacity. It would be it's tens of thousands. It's a huge loss.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But if I'm going to take that huge loss anyway, then I'd rather do it by being open than by being closed. But the problem is the staff is making $1,100 to stay home now, and they are not going to be happy about being called into work to make the kind of money that you make with at 25% capacity. I'm worried about that.
And no, there's a thorny question. You know what I'm getting at? The thorny
It's a
question
legitimate worry.
about how much you would pay the comedians at 25% capacity.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Well, I would imagine you would use more locally or more LA people, unfortunately.
No, actually, if we were paid at 25% capacity, then I would therefore perform at 25% capacity. So I would just tell jokes that are 25 years old. I tell Monica Lewinsky jokes.
Jim, they're so old, you'd be straight again.
He's back in the closet.
I wouldn't want
night,
to.
Estee.
I wouldn't want to lower the comedian pay. We might have to lower it in. No, I mean we're definitely not going to pay 25%. I would try to pay the same. I would try to pay the same.
You know, if the club was at 50%, which you could do in Vegas, and they would be spread out enough, I think. At 50%.
Mark, I loved how the Vegas mayor said the casinos can open and they can practice social distancing. And they said, well, how are they supposed to do that? And then she said, I don't know.
Yeah, she wanted us to be guinea pigs.
That's what she said. She said, I don't know. I don't have a casino license. I don't know. That's for them to figure it out.
Well, I thought that was a legit answer.
We're all fucking doomed. We're doomed. We're all on our own.
But that is a legit answer. She doesn't know that they got to figure it out.
But she knows enough, but she shouldn't know what to say to open then.
She's the mayor. She should know.
I love when she said, he was like, yeah, but what about in China? And she goes, this is Las Vegas, not China. What are you even talking about? It's not China.
I know.
There's something inside of me that says you're better off with a mayor who doesn't pretend to know. And
somebody like De Blasio, you're
and
right.
somebody who thinks they know so much and just gets it all wrong, you know.
That's true.
But if she is getting it wrong, though, isn't she?
That's what life is about, actually. It's like you're better off with somebody who admits they don't know than somebody who pretends that they do.
Yeah,
Well, she did get it wrong. I mean, do you think that we should be open right now?
Who, me?
No, Noam.
No, yeah.
Vegas should be open. I mean,
because you're saying she was wrong, she was right.
I would listen. I can't compare it to New York. I think that in those parts of the country where they have 1/10 number of cases that New York has, and that they don't live in high density areas and they don't have subways. Yes, I think they should try now to reopen with masks required. And
Vegas would be people from all those people you're talking about coming in together. Yeah. So it's a destination.
Well, that's in some sense, it's up to them. Listen, if we're not going to have a vaccine, we're not going to be closed for a year to 18 months, right? So they got to try to figure out how to open. So, and And I think that by now, old people and people with conditions and all that stuff, I mean, they would know not to go to Vegas. The only thing I really do think is that everybody should be required to wear a mask, period. And they should start there.
There's all these people that are like getting into fights with, the workers at Trader Joe's.
It's an outrage.
I just want to.
You're going to get
outrageous. They're
if you open in Vegas, you would get an incredible amount of locals.
Can I just say that Bob Seger looks like Philip Seymour Hoffman?
Thank you.
That's all I wanted to say.
He looks like Philip Senior.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Senior Philip Hoffman.
Oh my God, Philip Seymour Hoffman was one of the many celebrities I've met at the fabulous Comedy Cellar. And I have a picture of the two of us that we took before he passed away.
Well, he was at the Cellar a couple of weeks prior to that, I remember.
Yeah, that's when I met him.
Philip Seymour Nolte. That's what he looks like.
All right. So, well, Mark, what do you think? You think they should reopen?
I would like them to, but yes, I think they should. I don't know. It's hard to call.
They should try. Germany's reopening. They should try.
Our business is kind of dangerous. We're spitting on people, and people are spitting back at us.
No, you should have to wear a mask. You should have to wear a mask.
On a stage?
On a stage, yeah, on a stage.
Is Vegas reopening? Is Paris reopening? I mean the casino, not the city.
Well, if I have to perform with a mask on, I'm not going to perform because half of my act is my face.
Well, then you won't perform.
Well,
but
I mean, are you going to put up those plastic? I mean, you can put up those plastic things, can't you?
God, just kill me now. I can't.
I think that there's only one way to be responsible about this, is that you have to start with the maximum feasible protection, and then you see how that goes, and then you experiment with loosening up the rules until you find the sweet spot where it's not spreading, so you start with 100% masks, then you maybe start with more capacity, whatever it is. You try different ways. When nobody knows the answer, trial and error is the only intelligent way to approach it, in my opinion.
Well, that's how comedians write their act.
Yeah. So, and I think that you can get used to performing with a mask, and you can get used to an audience with a mask, or don't, or stay home, or come back a year from now. But this is not going away.
People are going to be wearing masks and ponchos like a Gallagher show or something.
Exactly.
When should we open? When do you think, Noam?
When should we open? I don't think we'll be open until September.
Really? In Vegas too?
I have no feel for Vegas. In New York, Vegas could be open sooner.
I think Vegas will open sooner. And you could start off like just doing a brunch thing, one day or something. You know what I mean? Something stupid just to see what happens, to see if people show up.
Yeah.
The problem is that you don't want to be known as the epicenter. You like in California, there was this Pasadena birthday party, and on the news, anybody that gets COVID or there's a famous case of somebody being really sick from COVID, they're like, and this was the brother, sister's cousin from the Pasadena birthday party.
Remember there was sometimes they'll name the epidemic after the epicenter, like Legionnaire's disease was when a bunch of millionaires met at a hotel. So you don't want it to be called cellar disease. That's the one.
No, you don't. You don't want it to be the COVID cellar.
Any publicity is good publicity.
Knock on the door with the coronavirus tracer.
Yeah.
Back to the cellar.
It's Corona Sunday.
SARS-cellar-2.
I'll tell you what they should do. They should allow this PPP money to go towards retrofitting bathrooms and everything to touchless technology.
Yeah.
Because it costs a few $100s a toilet and stuff like that, and a lot of places can't afford that. But it would be really good for people's peace of mind if they didn't have to touch faucets, didn't have to flush toilets.
Vampires use those faucets?
Huh?
Can vampires use those faucets?
No, man, they can't. Ghosts.
Okay. Good night, guys.
All right,
Good night, Estee.
Nice week, everybody.
Good night, Estee.
All right, if Estee's going, the party's over as far as I'm concerned.
The party's over.
Yeah, okay. Well, this was fun. Anybody else got any last words?
Don't make trouble.
I got one question. No, why haven't they made it a law to wear the mask? Is there some sort of conflict of interest there?
It's inexplicable to me, especially with the all the data which has come out in the last couple of weeks, and even Cuomo was on TV saying that there's less COVID among healthcare workers who wear masks in the hospital, being surrounded by this whole day.
Cuomo, Ryan, it's not an actual law that the legislature passed, but Cuomo did sign an executive order that said you are required to wear masks in areas that you can't social distance.
No. Hold on. So he said that there's less COVID among healthcare workers wearing masks in hospitals than there are in the homes. Then he has signed a law saying people should wear masks, but he has refused to have any penalty. Number one. Number two, it's only if you can't be 6 feet apart from somebody. So it's absolutely ridiculous. Like the cops are going to walk around with a tape measure and then step away from each other. Okay, sorry, officer. And then the cop turns away. And of course, people get right back together again. They need $1,000 fine or something like that. They got to treat it at least as seriously as reckless driving or pissing on the street. I mean, they have us all in our homes for months, but they don't want to impose on us with masks. I don't understand it. So the answer
might be: are we certain that masks will work in a bar?
We're pretty certain that Japan and Korea and all the masks. There's no country that's wearing masks that has huge outbreaks. The neighborhood of Flushing, if you look it up, which is the Asian neighborhood in Queens, has almost no outbreak compared to the neighborhood named Corona right next door, which is predominantly Hispanic, I think, which has a huge outbreak.
Wow.
There's new studies that have come out. The Tony Blair Center, you can look it up, had a whole article running down all the studies which have shown that masks alone could lower the R naught, which is the number that they put on how many people you pass it to, below 1. And once it goes below 1, that would mean that the virus eventually would be extinguished. And if you pass it to more than one person, even 1.1 people, if everybody who gets it passes it to 1.1 people, then the virus spreads exponentially and eventually spreads everywhere. If the R naught is 0.9, then eventually the virus disappears. So they say that masks alone could bring it down to 0.9. They don't know for sure, but why not try?
Yeah.
Well,
I think we've about solved the problems of the universe.
It can't be that easy. I mean, it's like psychologically you say, well, it can't be that simple because we'd be doing it.
Google Japan. Google the countries that have that are wearing masks, and Google the Blair Center. And there was an article in Vanity
Google
Fair.
Japan. What about Tokyo, Japan?
Huh?
Google Japan. What about Tokyo, Japan?
Japan has almost nobody.
I mean, Google, like it was just said. Anyway.
I'm just going to be lazy and take your word for it now. I'm going to actually pass that information on to other people.
Well, I'll just show you just from one thing before you guys go, because you know that like Vanity Fair is a pretty credible
source
article, right? Source. Here's an article in Vanity Fair. Last week, if 80% of Americans wore masks, COVID-19 infections would plummet. New study says 80% of Americans. So,
imagine then if 90% of New Yorkers wore it.
Yes.
It would be even more effective.
I'm gonna have to say goodnight because I'm running out of battery and I'm in the other.
I mean, we could do a show without Estee, but when Jim goes.
Hi, Jim.
Good to see you guys.
Good to see you, Jim.
Have me back, Noam.
Right. Bye, everybody.